It's Toyotathon here at Omega Auto Clinic. Let's check out this really sweet Highlander. Let's get started. I always heard from my mentor years ago that problems in a shop come in threes. If you get a water pump that's bad, you got two more coming. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why, what the logic is behind it, but it's rarely ever been proven wrong. We've actually had more than threes. We have Toyotas galore coming into the shop the last few weeks. We have more scheduled, that and Hondas as well. But today we're going to settle the debate once and for all. For the $4,000 to $6,000 range, what is the best vehicle you can buy? As much as you want to find the cheap deal on a GMC Acadia or a Buick Enclave, they're crap. I don't care what kind of deal you got, they're garbage. Now I don't know so much about a 2024 version of those, but 2007, 8, 9, 10, all through there, bad. They're very, very bad. So people ask me, for the $4,000 to $6,000 range, maybe as much as 10, what's the best value out there? It's going to be reliable, like dead reliable, and to get a good value for money, a vehicle that looks decent, it can haul stuff, it can call kids, it can do all kinds of things, and it's one of these. My own dad has one of these because he knows the value of these Toyota Highlanders. It's basically a civilized version of a Toyota 4Runner. We all know about the legendary reliability of a 4Runner. It's the same here. They're just as reliable, if not more. So before we take a look around this thing, I'll give you a little bit of history and some heads up on the Highlander. It's definitely a vehicle you should be looking at. When these first came out in Japan in 2000, it was called the Kluger, a Toyota Kluger. I have no idea what a Kluger is. I don't even know what that means. It's a very strange name, but here in America we call it a Highlander. And those came out in 2001 in the United States market. And the first gen of these, which is what you're looking at here, is 2001 to 2007. They have a 2.4 four-cylinder or 3.0, 3.3 V6. The second generation is 2008 to 2013. They change it up. It looks a little different. It has some similar engines. They have a 2.7 inline 4 or a 3.5 V6. And as I go along, remember in 05 they came out with a hybrid. So from 05 all the way to today you can get a hybrid one of these Highlanders as well. Third generation is 2014 to 2019, and they continue to change the styling. They have the same engine, 2.7 inline 4, 3.5 V6, and then there's the hybrid models like I mentioned. Fourth generation is 2019 to now. So basically all the way from 2001 until today, they have been making the Highlander non-stop. They sell a lot of them. They're all over the road. And I'll go through a few of these actually on Marketplace. Here's a few pictures of them as I'm talking. You'll see they range from $3,500 to $5,500 range. Sometimes maybe $6,000 or $7,000 if it's immaculate. But you don't have to spend 60 grand and you can get a reliable vehicle that looks decent, fairly decent on gas, roughly around 19 in the city, 24 on the highway if you get a 4-cylinder, which is not great, but it's not bad either. You can haul a lot of kids in these, you can haul whatever, boxes, whatever you do for work, and they just don't break. We'll show you at the end of this video today why this vehicle is here and how it's going to get back on the road for not a whole lot. These are super easy to work on. There's plenty of parts all available for this thing all over the world, literally. They do cost a little bit more on parts than your average car, but you don't need them as often, so it kind of offsets that. And for the money, I vote this, the Highlander, the first generation Highlander, as the best vehicle in the world today for what you can spend. You can get a good, reliable family car. So that settles that question. What is the best car or SUV crossover kind of a vehicle that I can get for 4, 8 grand, somewhere around in there, not break the bank, and have a good family hauler? Here we go. Now don't get me wrong, I still really promote the Buick 3.8, the LeSabres, the Park Avenues, the vehicles that have those. Any of the Panther platform Fords, still really reliable vehicles, but we have to keep in mind that there's something that we can't stop, and that is the march of time. As these get older and older, you can't help the fact when they become 30 and 40 years old. You just can't help it. But they're still very good vehicles. As a vehicle that's not going to break the bank, it's going to be reliable, and it's not clear from the 90s sometime, This is the answer. Let's take a look around this thing. This one is not pristine, it's not a museum piece, it is used for work. You're going to find as we go around and take a look at this thing, it's a little worse for the wear as far as the headlights being foggy. And that's all a preference if a person wants to put money into it. And I'll do a video someday on those that you can buy kits and restore them yourself for fairly cheap. You can see this is a limited model. It's not banged up or rusted out or beat up, has some nice Goodyear tires on it. It is a V6 Highlander. Like I mentioned, they do have a 4-cylinder version. You can see they do tow something, small little trailer or something with it, which totally makes this even more usable as a vehicle. As you go down this side, you can see there's a tiny bit of rust here over the wheel well, but nothing really much to speak of. Otherwise, it presents very well. Yes, it's dirty. Yes, it's dingy. Somebody uses this for work, like I mentioned. Let's take a look under the hood. As I mentioned, this has the V6. It is the 3-liter, not the 3.3. It's still very similar. Even with the big V6 in here, you can look all around the engine and see there's plenty of room. I can put my hand all around the front, all around the sides. The belts are easy to get to. One thing we're going to ask the customer about is it does have 177,000 miles on it. Do they have any records for the timing belt and water pump? Because even though these are awesome vehicles, they still require maintenance. Water pump, timing belt, it still has to be done. It doesn't appear that it's been done, but I don't want to jump the gun. We'll find out and see from the customer if it's been done or not. But otherwise, it's pretty clean under here. There's some dust. There's no oils or anything leaking on top. Let's get this thing on the lift and see what it looks like underneath. So we did hear a little bit of a pulley noise. We'll let the customer know about it. It may just need an idler pulley or something simple. But we do have a nice custom edition purple rope there. I'm not sure what's going on or why that's there. But anyways, let's take a look underneath the radiator core support area. We see the fans are all intact. Everything's good there. I don't see any coolant coming out anywhere. There's our catalytic converter. There's the oil filter. Nothing leaking on the side of the block. Here's our engine oil pan and the transmission pan. There's really nothing leaking here either. Let's check out these brakes. They got about 30% remaining. They're still good. Sway bar links are good. CV boots are good. Brakes are good. Everything else looks fine as well. Same story on this side. So I don't see very many skid plates or anything going on under here. This is just the front wheel drive version. It doesn't have all-wheel drive. Which, if you don't need all-wheel drive, actually is a cheaper option for you. But look at it, guys. 177,000 miles. I don't need to pull the transmission. I don't need to pull the engine. There's not seals and gaskets leaking all over the place like a Buick would have at this time. It's just dry. It's amazing. You see our exhaust goes 2 into 1, another catalytic converter, and then a muffler. Again, there's no drive shaft or anything that would normally be right here. Since it's only front, we just have an open cavity here. It does look a little rusty crusty under here, but nothing that's too bad. Brakes are about 50% on the back. Struts look good, sway bar links are good. This strut does need to be replaced. It's leaking. We'll let the customer know about that. Nothing that needs to be done immediately, but it is something to keep an eye on. And brakes are 50%. Sway bar links are good. Nothing loose. I really like where they put the charcoal canister here underneath this plastic cover. It's very easy to get to. I don't have to pull wheel liners out or pull wheels off. It's just right here on the bottom, easy to get to. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's check our tire date code. Like I mentioned, it has some nice Goodyear assurances, and they are 18th week of 2023, so they have plenty of life left on them. Let's get this thing on the ground. So 177,000 miles. If this was a Buick Enclave, GMC Acadia, there's a whole slew of really junky cars out there, a Kia or a Hyundai. It would have double, triple, or even quadruple the number of things wrong with it by now. Why is it here? A check engine light was on, and all it was the bank 2 oxygen sensor upstream was failed. That's it. Now we did find a squeaky pulley and a strut that has some leakage going on. Those don't need to be done immediately, but we will let the customer know about it. They may bring it back another day. We can take a look at those items. But as far as today, It'll get a new oxygen sensor back on the road. No engine outs, no transmission outs like an Audi. They always have to have front main seal, rear main seals, timing chains, engine out, crap all the time. An oxygen sensor at 177,000 miles back on the road. And just like the video we just did here not too long ago, on a Toyota, they're a little bit more sensitive on the parameters. You can't put cheap Chinese no-name knockoff parts on the vehicle, especially the electronics, mass airflow sensors, oxygen sensors, things of that nature. You can't cheap out on them. It will let you know with the check engine light. It'll be right back on again. It'll be like, I just replaced that. Yeah, you didn't use a quality Denso or Toyota part. So you might be able to find an Amazon oxygen sensor for this for 60 bucks. We're not putting that on here. We're putting only OEM Toyota, 200 bucks, just for the sensor. And it doesn't take very long to replace it, and we have a little time of diagnosis. It's not going to be that big of a bill, and it's back on the road again. Now, you probably won't be able to say that on the turbo that just failed on your Buick Encore with your Ecotec 1.4 turbo, which is going to cost a few $1,000s.
Wizard, that's assuming that you can get one.
If you can get one, because there's such a high failure rate that there's hardly any to buy. So definitely want to do a video for you guys to show you you don't have to spend 60 grand to get something that's very reliable, that can haul your family, haul your pets, haul whatever around. Hopefully you're not hauling illegal drugs. Please don't do that.
It's not a Maserati.
No, it's not a Maserati. There is an answer, there is a solution out there what doesn't cost a lot of money, and you can rely on it for many years to come. First generation Toyota Highlander is the answer. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this or any other vehicle in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. If you purchase anything there, we get a small cut and we really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's many more great videos to come. Thanks for watching.